some shit lately. Listen. I've been working on my craft and I've been studying my culture, taking everything I need. I'm coming like a vulture. I'm supposed to be a...
Welcome y'all to the last sip. Welcome to the last sip. Thank you. Today is this very special podcast. I'm gonna let y'all know what happened to me earlier. I just gotta let it be known. What was going on earlier, sorry about that, y'all. What was going on earlier is as I was getting myself together, y'all, the devil is a liar. I cannot find my charger to charge up my phone or my camera for the podcast, one. Number two, all of a sudden I was perfectly fine. I got ill today around 11 a.m. I have a fever, I'm burning up, but it's the fact of pushing through and persevering. You know, one monkey don't stop no show. You know what I'm saying? The strong survive. And today's podcast was just that important. But before I get that started, I want to right now tell you I sponsor myself a lot of time and get shout outs. When you try to lose that extra weight, you in the gym and can't seem to get it off, hey, do what I do. I use Animal Cuts. Animal Cuts has a probiotic, a diuretic in it, has a couple of supplements that help you stop the bloating. I use this along with apple cider vinegar. Man, you don't know, it does the job, it does the trick. Like I said, take one pack in the morning, one pack in the afternoon, make sure to work out, and you always know what I do here on the last sip. I'm going to promote that water, so make sure that you are drinking that. And before we get started, I never spill tea, but I do take the last sip. So let's give a big old round of applause and a cheer for the agua. Man, when you sick, that goes big time. Another applause. Well, y'all, today, I got a special topic. It is something that's near and dear to my heart. If any of you guys know me, you know I have an autistic granddaughter. And, you know, she goes by the name of Nyla. I have a friend that runs a food establishment by the name of the Mean Pig. You probably see them on Food Network with the Challenge Man versus Food. Well, he is connected to an amazing lady. I want to get her name right, by the name of Audrey Freshwater-Merritt. She's a specialist in children and education. And today, we're going to get to the nitty-gritty. We're not playing. I want to have this conversation with her today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, you know how I do. I don't do the interviews where people are in studio with me because my studio's small. Don't worry, we're expanding it. You know, I'm going to do that. But I'd like to get her on the phone with me, and we're going to have some conversation about schools, about education, what we can do to change all that as parents, and what we can do as specialists in the school systems. Hello. How are you doing today, Miss Aubrey?
And
am I saying that right? Is it Audrey Freshwater-Merritt?
yeah, or you can just call me Audrey Merritt. Sometimes that's a lot of words to use. So
Well, here's the thing. It sounds so professional. It is like super professional. I'm like, okay, Mrs. Merritt or Audrey, or, you know, it is professional. So
you can just call me Audrey. Actually, that'd be ideal.
okay, right now, you might hear a little something going on because I'm getting it set up to where we can get you in here without me having that little nasty feedback. So give me a second. I got some things going on. I'm trying.
All right.
And I think that'll work. Let me turn you up here. Let me turn your mic up, as we say in the studio. Let's turn up the mic. Let's give her a round of applause. Well, thank you for joining my show. I will have you know this. I'm going to let you know ahead of time. This show to me is so super important because it's the fact that I don't know a lot of people know this. I advocate for this. I've been doing it for a long time. It's something that to me is very important. Being a child that was, I mean, when I say genius level, I was very intelligent, but I was raised in the underprivileged area in the Midwest. And so it was easier to do things like hang out in the street and do things I shouldn't be doing. And it made school kind of boring. So me being placed in special ed classes was because school was boring. It was a way for them to get me to go to school, which was super easy, and I never challenged myself, which was a detriment to me because I think it kind of halted the process of me using my mental to get further in life. As you can see now by the things I do, by the book I've written, I've kind of changed that aspect on things. What I want to do is I'm going to give you a arena at this time, a couple of minutes to let us know who you are, what's your specialties, what you do, and why you have such a fire for education.
Yeah, thank you. Well, let me first say this. My mom is an educator. So my mom has taught school for, I think, almost 28 years now.
Okay, I'm
But
gonna applaud that real quick. No, because that, I mean,
yeah,
that is serious. That to keep that in the family and do that, that is so important. That
hmm
is like generational
yeah,
blessings to others. So I appreciate that.
yeah. Well, and let me say this too, like not only has she taught for 28 years, like she is the type of teacher that every child deserves. She loves it. She loves these children. And to me, it's just been such a blessing to watch her. And it's also set the bar high. I'm a therapist by trade, and so it really kind of just happened, honestly. So I investigated child abuse and neglect. That's how my career started out. I then became a forensic interviewer. So I would interview children who had possibly experienced sexual abuse. And then I worked on the sex trafficking unit. I worked in a courtroom. I was the therapist for the 21st District Drug Court in Tennessee. And so I really spent the majority of my career working in a setting where the majority of children and families that I worked with were uh, working with the Department of Children's Services. They had been through trauma, right? And also what I found out in working with these families was that it wasn't that trauma that we were seeing. It was generations of trauma, generational trauma.
Let me ask you a
And
question,
so,
just real quick.
yeah,
So, because
yeah.
I want to express it so people understand. Because where I come from, a lot of people, seriously, the ethnic my ethnic background, the area I come from, when people see those in the court system that are coming in, they always see it as a bad thing. Like, okay, they're going to take my kids, or they're here to start some trouble. It's like what I do wrong for my children. I just want to give you kudos for what you said. I just noticed what you were speaking on is how it seems like you were helping those inner city families to get
Mhm.
better, and that's something today while we're talking that I hope you can express to some people out here that that is not a curse to have someone from the state come in or someone that does that type of work to come in and help you because that's going to help better the situation.
Yeah, I mean, let me say this, like, do I feel like Child Protective Services gets such a bad rap. And I mean, are there bad workers out there? Well, probably, but there's also bad bankers and teachers and restaurant owners and therapists and all, like, no one goes into that work for any other reason other than they believe in keeping children safe and helping families grow in their skills in order to keep families together. Sometimes that can't happen in order, for children to be healthy and safe, but no one goes into that career looking to like bust up families because I mean just no one does. So the system needs a lot of work, but you go into that career because you really believe in keeping children safe, but you also believe that a lot of the parents we're working with are parents who they themselves are these children grown up. They were never taught they don't know how it feels to be loved. They were smoking crack with their parents when they were 10. I mean, the first time they used drugs was with their parents. Their parents were strung out and letting, their friends do horrible things to them. I mean, this is really generational, and it takes a village. I mean, it really does. I believe that what we need more than anything is we need the village back, and we need to work together for the kids because I say often, like, your zip code should not determine your trajectory in life, but
Amazing.
it also should not determine your belief in yourself. Your worth should not rest in your zip code. And the truth of the matter is, like, if you don't have anyone in your family who has ever gotten out or been to college or been successful or not gone to prison or not been in gangs or not struggled with poverty, like, you only know what you know.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna stop you one real
yeah.
quick and give you a ding on that. No, because you're saying to me, hold on, I'm gonna give you a ding on that. Okay, because here's something you said that I noticed about the village. And in the hood, we say there's no more, I don't know if you heard the term, there's no more big mamas left, is what we call it. And that's because like
Yeah.
back then the grandmothers were older and they taught the younger ladies and the younger generation how to raise and take care of kids. I would say the word foster because a lot of people like foster. No, foster, what I mean by the word foster, I mean literally take care and take a kid in and take care of the child. I mean like a system. That is one thing you said I like. And also, when you were speaking about not knowing and understanding, you know, how to do this, because that's the biggest thing I think about this generation. And I don't know if you watched my podcast like a couple weeks ago. I had, well, one of the first podcasts I did was called One of Those. And you spoke on that. Like some of the people I know when I first moved down here from the Midwest. Now, if you know anything about Iowa, Iowa is what they call a fine state. If you know education, a fine state is one of the higher ranked states that schools they're ranked by the way they have efficiency on their learning techniques, how the graduation rates, the skill of the children that are coming out of the schools and being moved to the next level, the success rate of the graduation. So coming from that area, I moved down here and I tell people when I went to Little Rock to work and I told them I lived in Cabot, and the people say you're one of those. And what they meant was I was looking like them, but I didn't do the things they did. I mean, I had broke the generational curse. I literally got up and I told myself that if I was going to have my children succeed, I had to give them something else. Here's my thing. My thing is this. If you are going to have a problem, the only solution to the problem is acknowledge that you have a problem, go head first and fix it. That is my issue with so many neighborhoods of poverty. And it's not a knock. I don't want anybody to say it's a knock. It's not that. Because sometimes you are put behind the starting line and have to catch up to the starting line before you can even start the race. But for the fact that you can kind of change that narrative, you've got to make the decision to change it because you have other ones coming behind you that are seeing that. And they have to have something to feed off of. And once you teach them, they teach the ones behind them. And once you teach them, and all of a sudden you have a cycle that has broken the cycle of negativity and poverty.
Yeah. But I think we've lost our bootstraps in a lot of areas. Like you can't pull yourself up by the bootstraps if you don't have bootstraps. But a lot of people don't have boots. They don't have socks. I mean, some of them are missing toes, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, we need communities to come back together. We need those. I love that you said that, big mamas. I grew up in the Delta, so grew up in
okay.
Yeah, so I'm with you. I grew up in. I'm so grateful for where I grew up because it shaped me into the person who I am. Because that's how I grew up. Like, I grew up where people took care of other people's children, and if you didn't have to worry, like, even if your mom or dad didn't see you doing something, like if someone else caught you, stepping outside of your values, like, they're going to say something.
You remember that? You remember, like, you used to, like, you would do something in the neighborhood, and before you got home, every adult neighborhood knew, like, Miss Johnson knew, Miss Jones knew. And back then, we called people by their first name, like Mr. Leonard or Mr. Kevin. And then when you got home, your mom was like, did you get smart, Mr. Johnson? Well, he said, well, no, Mr. Johnson said, and it's like, so I want to applaud you on that. You are hitting on so many points right now. That is so awesome. Yeah.
Well, and I even remember things like, Miss So-and-so called and she said that she overheard her daughter say da 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 da.
Yes.
I mean, it was even stuff like that. Like, again, it's that village, like, we've become so isolated and we're just
desensitized,
doing us, right? We've lost the human aspect with people.
Yes.
And it's why you see so much, like, hate on social media, and it's one reason, big reason why people act the way they act towards each other, because when I no longer see you as a human being, it's easier for me to hate you. If I
Yes.
see you as a human being and I share the human experience with you, even if our experiences are different, but I still share that human piece, I can't hate you. It's impossible. But we've lost that.
Well said. Well said. Well said. Okay. Well, right now, what I'm going to get into is you told us a little bit about yourself. You've given me a little bit about why you care. Your points are you're basically doing a PowerPoint presentation right now without actually being here pointing at the board, but that is awesome. So right now, one of the issues, like I said, we're going to talk about a couple issues today. I want to say it again, if you guys are watching me, I want to give you an applause and a cheer right now. I want to thank you guys for watching me here on Facebook at Ontario Hill, blue check mark verified. Also at the @ Motivational Muscle. That muscle is spelled MUZCLE 74, all one word. And on YouTube, today's conversation, I'm here with, you said to call you Aubrey.
Well, Audrey.
Audrey.
Just call me Audrey.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm here with Audrey, and she specializes in children and behaviors. Awesome person. So we're going to go into the conversation now. One of the things I'm going to get into is I don't know if you watch any city halls or town meetings. I do a lot of this. It's weird. I sit down in front of my TV and I literally get on YouTube and Facebook. I'll watch these meetings. I have actual friends and council, city
That's
council
smart.
and school board. I literally watch these meetings. And one of the things that came across to me, there's two issues we're gonna talk about right now. We're gonna put them into one, but I want you to literally take them like A and then topic B, and make sure you let me know A, you're talking about this, and B, so people, so the fans out here can hear it. By the way, a couple of my fans, my guy KP says I like her because I have a lot of old school friends here, and he says you're speaking facts, so I appreciate that. It's so
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, well, number one, during one of the town hall meetings, they were expressing about taking the funding out of the school for disabilities. Um, let me see. Oh God, let me get it right. Special education, and they're going to take the funding out because they feel they can use it elsewhere or just cut off the budget. And they were going to place some of these kids back into regular classes. That's one thing that kind of bothered me. The second part of that question or comment I want to make stated to you is that during that process, they also spoke about sending kids from the 6th grade to middle school, so it'd be 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, leaving the 9th graders where they weren't having high school, 10, 11, and 12. Now, the reason this bothered me is I heard a councilman speaking. He said something so amazing. He says, if we're going to move these children like that, do you have the accommodations? And I asked him this. This is what I asked him, so he spoke it. Do you have the accurate accommodations to house these young students that are coming in with those older students as far as like some type of counseling if they're getting bullied by the older children? Because some of those kids, when you get 8th, 9th, you're starting to transcend over to a teenage or small adulthood that you're going into high school. So do you have enough facilities or even the enough of the abilities or teachers and everything in that are you adjusted enough to bring these children in and help them with the counseling, help them with the schoolwork, help them because they're still smaller. They're coming from grade school to middle school. Second of all, are you not worried about the impact this has on those who can't make it with that curriculum? Because when they're moving up, some of them don't get that grade school curriculum because like when I went to school, 6th grade was in grade school and you got that curriculum as, okay, I'm the big guy on campus. My curriculum's just a little bit harder, but it's still where I can learn it instead of going into jumping right into junior high, which is to me high school and training, and then being taught all this stuff that you're mentally and physically not prepared for because some of those kids are super small. I mean, some of those kids aren't even physically ready to even deal with that mentally, physically. And I think that has a lot to do with the suicide rate in children, the learning curve with the children. So with those two things, I don't know if you can remember what I asked you. Could you go ahead and go into detail on that?
I got you. Yeah, I got you. I took notes. I'm used to having to do that. So let me say this first. When my career kind of merged, and what I mean by that is I had this, very successful career in this area. and was always passionate about education.
Okay.
Because of my mother, but also because I'm passionate about children, and I'm passionate about the opportunities that our education system has to support children and families. And here's what I mean by that. People want to get so focused on, well, if parents did this and parents did that, and listen, do I think we need a parental revolution? Absolutely.
Yes.
However, if you look at just from a number standpoint, our educators, our education system from K to 12, they have more opportunities in terms of minutes and hours with our children than parents do. And I've done the numbers. I've had my team and I have done the numbers, and it comes out where our education system, our educators, our administration, all of those people, they will have FaceTime with our children for more hours than parents will. So wouldn't one believe that they have an opportunity, no matter what's going on at home, to do some good work?
They have more
right?
So they're there to influence your. That's the thing too that you hear a lot
they
of.
have more opportunity.
Exactly, to influence your children. Yes.
I mean, yes, I wish all parents were rock stars. And you know what? I think that if our education system was doing what I feel like it should do, then you would actually have more parents probably involved in doing better parenting. But again, we're in our silos. And so that's, my career kind of just naturally morphed into what it is now, where it's like I still do the same work, but I'm doing a lot in education and speaking a lot to that, because children are having behaviors, and children are not
Okay, give me a small second. Give me a small second. Okay, we had a small issue there, but we're back.
We're back.
Okay, go ahead, and I need you to go ahead, and you were just explaining the situation. Go back a couple of sentences and where you was talking about the parents being a rock star, and so I need you to go back to that a little bit, because I think we kind of lost you.
I think if, again, like when you look at the sheer numbers, like of hours and opportunities, our education system has a lot of opportunities to do some really great work, no matter what is going on at home. I think that the hope would be that would bring more parents alongside of the work, and we could help support parents in building those skills in parenting. But like I said, I was an investigator for a very long time. I wish all parents were rock stars. But the truth of the matter is we've got to focus on, like, what can we control? And what we can control is the very system and professionals that exist in order to do best with children, in fact, is not doing best practices by children. And that's the truth. That's the truth. So that is why I probably don't watch school board meetings, because I try and protect my mental health and frustration levels. And the reason why is, so like you talked about, like taking funding for disabilities and for those special education. And here's what I'll say about that. I think that there are absolutely children who can operate in a regular classroom, and that is what's best for them. I also think it's really good for all children to learn how to coexist and see that human aspect, because we're all going to operate in the world together. So,
Yes.
so let me say that. I do think, though, I want to be clear, I do think that there are children who that isn't the best place for them, and they need more services than what we can provide in a regular classroom. I think oftentimes we like to do this just blanket thing that we do, and it's because it's what's easy for big people.
Gotcha.
And I just don't believe in doing what's easy for big people. I believe in doing what's best for little people. Always. No matter what work I'm in, it's what's best for children. And so, do I think all children with disabilities need to be in a regular classroom? No, I don't. Do I think some do? Yeah, I think I think for some that's a great environment to be in. I think that it's great for all children. I don't think that taking funding is the answer, because I don't think there was enough funding in the beginning. I mean, we're building multi-million-dollar high school football stadiums, but we can't pay educators or keep children, safe, or all of the things I hear like school districts can't do, but we can throw out millions of dollars of food every day instead of feeding children because they can't pay for it. The things that we do, I just sit back and go like, really? Wow. But we expect children to behave better than we are. Like, that's so interesting to me. And I mean that probably in the most smart aleck way possible. Like that makes no sense.
Yes.
So I think that I love sports. I'm not knocking football or sports, but if we can build $1 million high school football stadiums and, do some of the things that we do, I feel like our priorities are maybe off a little. And I think, again, it's about doing what's best for all children. And that brings that, to the next thing you said, this, combining grades and ages and, putting children together in this very wide, broad age gap. And here's what I'll say about that. Again, when you look at brain development and child development, which is what everything we do in our education system should be based on, but it's not.
I do agree.
Opposite sometimes. If you looked at brain development and child development, you would see that putting those age groups together is not the best idea. And here's why. First of all, my son, for example, he turns, his birthday is in October. So he's one of the oldest in his class. Well, he's got friends who have birthdays in May or June. So we're talking about, that's a big difference, right? Just in one class of children, one grade of children. But also, there is a big difference in a 5th grader and a 7th grader.
Yes, it is.
I personally wish what we could all do. We could all have a situation where 5th grade is, if not by itself, it is at least kept separate enough, because that is such a big year. They're coming out of elementary school. If you're in a situation where your school is K through 5th, I'm kind of jealous, because I love that idea. But I definitely think in scenarios where like 5th and 6th grade are in the same building, I think that they should be kept separate as much as you can, because there's a big difference even just between those two grades. I putting like 7th grade, in there. Those kids that's a whole other level. The things they're talking about, the way their bodies are changing, they're just their sheer sizes.
See, that's the way we did when I was in school. When I was in school, that's what we did.
I personally like that our children go to Cabot to school. I personally like that the 9th grade is separate, for example. Because I think that's another big transition year. But again, that situation that you talked about goes back to, we're not doing what's best for children. We're doing what's best for big people.
Well, when I went to school,
then we get shocked. We get shocked when children don't just, fall down and grovel at our feet and act accordingly, because we've made decisions without considering where they are and what's best for them.
Well, when I went to school, what we did was we had the K through 5 in the same building, but the K had its own little wing where nobody went down there but the Ks.
Oh, yeah.
And then sixth grade was in the building, but they had their own little wing. So like that 1st through 5th was all together. And that K was by themselves, and it was the same school, but the K and the 6 were in separate wings by themselves. So
I love that. Yeah, I love that. And again, I understand, again, for a lot of schools, especially in small areas, there's funding and there's all of that. But, I guess I'm just of the belief that if you don't invest in your children, then you don't really care about the future of humanity. Like, you just don't. I know that makes people probably really uncomfortable to hear that.
No, like Whitney Houston said, not to be funny, but she said that the children are our future. You got to teach them and let them lead the way.
Yeah.
It's a song, but the words are so like they burn in you. It's like, so.
Well, I mean, and it is true, right? Like, there's a saying that says, show me a country that values its citizens in youth, and I will show you a country that doesn't have to worry about its adults or elderly. And essentially what that saying comes down to is like, if you're investing starting from conception, if you're investing in that and early childhood and, best practices for children K through 12, and if you're doing all of that, you're building this foundation where people will be better suited for adulthood, because those foundational skills and that foundational brain development has been built. Without that strong foundation, people will always be trying to catch up. Like, there's always going to be like a struggle happening because they haven't yet built those skills. Not that they can't, but it's things are just a little out of whack. And so, again, I think that it's why it's so important that our education system align with brain development and child development. And, I know a lot of my colleagues and I are often like, it's such a shame that they just don't maybe ask, like, if you don't like, just why not ask? Mm-hmm. I think that any of us who are experts in this area would be more than willing to consult and weigh in on like, hey, what would be best practices in this situation? I mean, I certainly will volunteer myself, because I care that much about kids. And I think that educators do as well. That's another profession. Like, nobody goes into that without believing in what they're doing. I just think that it's the system itself has gotten misaligned. It just needs an alignment. It needs a tune-up. It's like a car. Like it's out of. I mean, Chad knows more about cars than I do, my husband. But it's like, so he'll probably scold me for getting this wrong. But it's like we need like a tire alignment or something. Because we're just a little misaligned. It's
a will. Yeah. I'll help him. It's a will alignment.
There you go. We need a will. There you go. That's what we need.
Okay. Well. That I love the way you answered that. So we're gonna continue to go. I want to apologize for those who are watching me. The mishap I just had, y'all. I'm having like I said, it's been a heck of a day between being sick and like I got stuff going and falling apart in here. So please forgive me if you're watching me once again on Facebook and YouTube. Just hang on, stay tuned. If it's something that's in there you don't like, don't worry, I will edit the video. This is a great interview. I'm enjoying the time I have with Mrs. I like saying Freshwater-Merritt. That is like so. It's like that is so like professional. Freshwater-Merritt. That's like so professional. So, well, what I'm gonna get to next is I want to get to like my granddaughter. Okay, so
Yeah.
here's a big thing that kind of sticks in my craw. Some of these
I like that. My
schools,
mama used to say that. I like that.
some of these schools market themselves or sell themselves to the parents as autistic, disabled, or special education facilities that specialize in helping the children. Here's my thing. Some of these schools have teachers that are not trained, and it's not, some of them, it's not their fault. Some of them, they just put them in there. You know, you've been dealing with kids in schools for a while. Some of them just put the teachers there to put a warm body in the seat. Some of them don't get the training that they need or don't have the training to deal with a special needs child. Now, I'm going there because I have a little situation that happened. I was going to have a parent come on, but I was able to get a hold of her, so I'll tell her story for her. And so sometimes I'm thinking to myself, as a parent or parent, I get frustrated with my child myself, being the child is mine. I can only imagine a teacher who has not been trained or has to deal with this. I can imagine their frustration because it's not their child. They're there to do a job. So I can imagine their frustration with the child not eating or not, just because it takes, I told somebody today, it takes a special type of love to be a teacher. You have to have love.
Amen.
You have to have love for people and love for children. You can't just do that job as just a job. That has to be a love offering from you to the child.
It's a calling. I would never, listen, I love children. I would never lock myself in a room with 27 different personalities. Okay.
Yes.
That is a whole other level. And I have mad respect for them because like I said, that is 27, 28, probably 30 different personalities some days. And even I don't do that. So kudos to them.
So with that being said, do you think there's a way, like you said about the tune-up, do you think there's a way we can do some type of reform, even if we get a teacher a little bit? Because like some of the schools, they'll have counselors in the school. And to me, I'm going to tell you why I get a counselor kudos. I think they're overworked. When you have 8 counselors in the school and you have close to, I want to say like 70 kids, and these 8 counselors are dealing with the 20 or 30 autistic kids themselves or special needs kids themselves, they have to take on all this while the teacher, and like I said, I want this to be made so plain and clear. I am not knocking the teacher or the educator. I'm not knocking that. I want everybody to understand they hear my voice. I am not knocking the teacher. That's not what's going on. What I'm saying is you have to feel for that person, the counselor, the person that's doing the physical therapy or the speech therapy or the potty training and stuff like that, because they seem to take on the majority of that responsibility during the day. And I think some of them are getting so overworked because the fact that they're the only ones in the school that are trained. Now, remember, this school is supposed to be, some of them get funding because of, and this only reason I know this because I have people in the school board. Some of these schools and small agencies, as far as like these small little daycares, some of them get funding from the government and the state because they are classified as a special needs school. But then if you're going to give them the funding, I think you have to make sure that you are giving the teachers another key, another tool to unlock these children's potential, and don't just leave them to counselors. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So let me say this. My first response to that is, again, you invest where you value. And let me say that again. You invest where you value. So like, don't tell me that you value life and children and education. Like, don't tell me that. And then when I look at the financials, and I start seeing in where you invest, and that doesn't align.
I am applauding that. I am applauding that. Yeah. Oh my God. That is wow. That statement you made is, I wish I could put that on a t-shirt and give it to everybody. That statement is like,
well, let's make shirts. You invest where you value.
Yes.
Let me say this. I think for starters, and I'll start with early childhood, right? We don't value what happens in those spaces. So we don't invest enough in where we need to.
Yes.
So we know, for example, we know that the majority of brain development happens in early childhood.
Mm-hmm.
We know that children learn through play. We know that in order to have the a successful life, healthy well-being, all of those things, that all of that happens in early childhood. Yet we don't invest in it. And I'm not talking about just Arkansas. I'm talking about as a country. We
Yes.
don't invest enough in early childhood, and we call it babysitting, and we call it all of these things. But the truth of the matter is, those people, thank you, those people are building brains. So their job title needs to be brain builder. Oh, what do you do for a living? I build brains for a living. What do you do? Oh, I'm a cardiologist. I built your brain. You're welcome. Like
Yes.
that's the level of importance of early childhood, high quality early childhood education, having high quality staff. We no disrespect to those that fall into this, but you've got kids working in early childhood centers who are straight out of high school,
Yes.
and
They're kids
and
themselves.
yeah, they're kids themselves. So, and I'm not saying that they can't be great at what they do, because I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of great ones out there. But again, we don't pay early childhood providers enough. And so, and we don't pay teachers enough. Again, you invest where you value. And so we, I mean, gosh, you can probably make more on like TikTok or Instagram or whatever these days than you can as an educator. And
Oh
that's
my
sad.
OMG. OMG.
That's
Yes.
sad. And I mean, listen, no disrespect to like the NBA players out there either, but why we value that. We're those people are making bazillions of dollars, but we can barely get a living wage for our educators. So
Yes.
again, you invest where you value. If you want to reduce crime rates and incarceration rates and poverty rates and substance abuse rates and mental health, if you really want to reduce that, then you would focus on building the healthiest brain with the most supports, and you would continue to reinforce that throughout development and break these generational curses, bring the village back, support people, love people, do right by people. I mean, all of those things would be happening. So, I think that there's a lot of people doing or trying to do a lot of really meaningful work with not enough funding, and not enough funding to train their staff, not enough funding to uh, hire the right staff, or even give staff, a living wage. There's all of those things that are going on.
Hey y'all,
And,
y'all heard
and
her. Y'all heard what she said. Hold
yeah,
on. I mean, I
and
gotta give you hold wait. I gotta give you everybody's quiet in the back. I get the ravens, the crow.
mhm,
Hear quietness. You heard what she said, John. But the key thing she said was bring Big Mama's back. I gotta hit that one. She said bring Big Mama's back. Y'all gotta do it. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. And, let me say this too, like we talked about earlier, like no one goes into these professions just because. They do it because it's a calling, and people get overwhelmed and get, even myself, like there have been days in my career, I mean even recently, where I've said, like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I've been doing this for 17 years. Like, no one
Wow.
listens, no one cares. Like, I don't even know if I'm doing any good. But the thing about it is, though, at the end of the day, when I lay my head down at night, I have to answer for how I've conducted myself that day. And so
Hmm.
no matter what I'm getting, no matter what situation I'm in, or no matter what my salary is or isn't, if I am called to do this work, then I'm called, and I have to answer to someone higher. And that, for me, that's God. That's my faith. That's one of my core values. And so no matter what, that's what leads my decision making. And I have to do right. I have to do right. I have to answer my calling. And so I wish more people would answer that call. I wish more legislators and school administrators and all of those people would say, you know what, we've been doing this, we've been trying this for a while and it's not working. So maybe we should try a different way. Maybe there's a better way. Maybe test scores really don't matter, because they don't, and there's research behind that. But maybe we need to invest in early childhood more. Maybe we need to invest in educators more. Maybe we need to really invest in what we value.
Exactly.
And let's just see how it goes. I mean, let's just see, because what we're doing is not working. Okay, it's not working.
Well, the reason I brought that question up.
So why not try a different way? You know, and I know I can imagine it has to be really frustrating for for parents when their children are going to centers, for example, that are telling them, hey, like, we specialize in this, and we can do all of these services, and then the parent, in reality, you don't feel like your children are getting what they deserve. And, there's not the support within the center. And that really comes down to, again, it does come down to funding, and it comes down to investing where it matters. And I also think that, I wish more people held value in their work, because I grew up in a generation, my parents, where, like, my dad used to tell me, like, I don't care if you grow up and shovel poop for a living, you better be the best poop shoveler
in the world
that there has ever been, with the highest integrity. And and that, I find that is missing a lot, like that pride in what you do, more so than what your paycheck is. I mean, I understand people have to live, right? I get that. I'm not dismissing that. And I also feel like there's not as much pride in, like, what we're doing and how we're helping.
There isn't.
How you could literally be changing a child's life. Like, their trajectory in life could look completely different because of you. I mean, that's huge. Yeah. And as far as, again, it's an investment thing. If we invested more and had more training, had more opportunities, had the ability to hire staff that are equipped, then we would see that. I mean, even in a typical classroom, even in, just within your school districts, there's not enough school counselors. I agree with you on that. And on top of that, no disrespect to school counselors, so everybody, like, take a breath, but school counselors are not clinical therapists. They're not the same thing.
Yes.
So, like, and I think we need both, but to think that a school counselor there's certain things they can handle, like where it, like, overlaps a little, but when it comes to, like, assessing for suicidal ideation, or there's a clinical component there that they don't have the training for.
Yeah, as I say, they haven't been trained in. Right? Exactly.
Yeah. And so I think having actual mental health therapists, clinically trained therapists, whether that is, LCSWs or, LPCs or whatever their licensing distinction is, I think school districts need more of them, because we do have a lot of kids who are struggling and need that support. And teachers also, when you get when you go to school and you get your bachelor's, and even in your master's, most of them, depending on what it's in, you're not getting trained in, like, how to handle behaviors, like the psychology part of it. Trust me, in 2009, fun fact, I tried to get a bill passed here in Arkansas that would have given teachers more psychology training in undergrad and continuing ed, and it didn't even get out of committee, but I tried to, because teachers need more training in that, because they aren't therapists. But again, like, they're in a room with 27 different personalities with 27 different levels of needs across this huge spectrum. And there needs to be more support and consideration for that.
Well,
And
I
the
don't.
same
Well,
thing,
also, I
you
don't
know?
think too. Also, what it is too with me, I don't think that they're not taught to understand that a person's personal profile and psychological profile are on two different spectrums. They're not the same. They intertwine
Right.
with each
Yeah.
other to make. They intertwine with each other to make the individual who they are. But those are two different spectrums. The personal and the psychological is two different. You know.
Yeah. Oh, listen, here's the thing. You want to get real talk here. Most of them don't even have time to build a relationship with a child
Mm.
because of everything that's on them, and because of this focus on, you know, testing and things that we know from research by, you know, Harvard, Yale, CDC, Kaiser Permanente. I mean, all of these leading researchers in the world are saying this is what kids need and this is what determines success in life. And we're like, oh, that's great. And we're going to do the opposite of that. They
Wow.
don't, I mean, they don't have time to even get to know these kids or their learning style or what skills that they are needing to strengthen, or there's no relationships there. And for the educators out there that you're like, well, I have a relationship. Yeah. And you know what? If you do, I guarantee you your classroom and those children look completely different
Yes.
than the classroom where that doesn't happen.
That makeup is totally different. Yeah, that makeup. But to me, I'm gonna tell you where that comes from. To me, too. Also, to me, that also comes like I was talking earlier to someone. I love this conversation. I've never had somebody that can out talk me. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm a talker. So, oh no, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. What is to me, I was telling someone too that we have been brought up in that generation. It's just, I'm gonna be honest. People don't think. I tell people it's like basketball. This is this, and I say it like this: if I give you a play, the play has three things in it. It has a screen. Every play has a screen. It has a pick and a dive. That's all basketball is. You screen one person, you pick a person, you dive in, you go into a motion. That's it. Now, how you design that play to put those things in there, regardless, you're still going to go ahead and get a player that's going to make a shot. That is how life is. We have it to where we're not teaching anymore to teach. We're teaching to pass. No child left behind. And that also starts like, I'll be honest.
Oh yeah.
I think
we're test proctors. We're test proctors.
Yes.
That's what we are.
And
we're
I think
spitting out little robots.
Yes.
And then wondering why they can't function in the world.
And I think one of the worst.
They don't have a user's manual.
Yep. And I think one of the worst things we did too, and nobody thinks about it, just like I'll go back to basketball. I said this a long time ago. I had some people that gave me some riff behind it, but it was a couple of guys I had that was professional that got in my podcast. He's like, bro, you are so awesome with this. Nobody thinks of it this way. When you were a kid, you had field day. You had 3 ribbons. You had the red one, that green one, and that blue one. First, second, and third. If you didn't win, you didn't get a participation. You didn't get a participation thing. You might have got ice cream or something and kicked everybody else, but they made sure the ribbons were different colors. I went to a game and I was watching these kids play. The guy put the kids in the game. I said, "What's the score?" The guy goes, "I don't know. It doesn't matter." And the little kid out there, Jerome, was like, "It's 10-5." He knew what the score was, but the coach didn't. After the game, Jerome then was upset. And I'm like, why are you mad? He's like, we won and we getting the same award they did. That is the issue to me with our children today, is we don't teach them about winning and losing. Because once you lose, it makes you go back and work to get better, to come back again and do it again, and you get better at it. Now, some people, like I said, some people take it a little bit hard. But I look at it now, I do like you said, we're talking about psychological profiles and personal profiles. Psychological profile, I know a lot of grown men that were never told no. And guess where they're at? A lot of them are locked up in prison. A lot of them can't seem to get their life right because they were never told no. They were never forced to go back, reattempt to do something again, and get better at it. If you do the studies, those children that have been taught that, they do so much better in life. They do so much better in life.
Yeah. Oh, that's so spot on. I think a lot of things that we do are well intended, and we don't anticipate the repercussions.
Well, you said we're making it about big people. Remember, you said it's about big people now. It's not
Right.
about the kids.
Right.
So
Exactly. Yeah. So so with education, and you mentioned No Child Left Behind. So we were always doing the social emotional part. Like
mhm.
we really were, but we didn't realize it, nor did we realize the value in it. And then until we stopped doing it. And
Yes.
then we have, all this increase in ADHD, and every child has oppositional defiant disorder, and, kids this and kids that, and their behavior's this and their behavior's that. And I was like, well, yeah, because they have to remember 27,000 rules.
Yes.
There's no creativity. It's boring as heck. They are shamed constantly. There is no relationship, and we're teaching them to attest, and we know that doesn't mean anything for their success later on in life. And the skills that they actually need to be successful, we're not teaching them. And like you mentioned with the whole, you're not always going to win. There is something to be said for being able to teach children while you have them, right, how to navigate hard things.
Yes.
I think that, and this is sometimes hard for me. I know Chad's probably downstairs listening, taking notes like, she said that, because sometimes it is hard to let your children struggle.
Yeah.
However, the lessons they will learn will support them forever. And it's so important that we teach them that you're not going to be good at every sport. I'm not good. I'm good at a lot of things. Okay. But I'm not good at everything. You don't want me changing the brakes on your car. You know what? You don't want me measuring anything. Okay. And I'm a very smart person, but Chad is learning, you don't want me measuring things. You just don't. So I think teaching them early on that, like, hey, it's okay to not be great at every subject in school, but that doesn't mean we're not going to work hard at the things that we're not the best at. Hey, it's okay to not be the best in every sport. It's also okay to lose. And teaching them how to lose. Because I see a lot of parents, I'm like, yeah, you can tell, right? You're like, yeah, you did not.
Well, because we messed up.
That skill.
We've messed up our vocabulary. Like the word quit isn't always bad. People quit smoking. People quit lying. People quit, just like, and like I put a post today on social media. I was like, food for thought. Why do people have such a hard time processing the word no? If you want to see a person's true behavior or true personality, tell them no. And I work at a gas station. You don't have your license. I can't sell you cigarettes. You Miss Freshwater, you ought to see the attitudes I get. Well, why are you such a snobby? Why are you acting so nasty? And I'm like, I'm not. Or like, okay, well, there's a guy came in today. Came in, got a cup of ice. He's like, okay, I just got ice. I'm leaving. I walked out. So I had my manager goes to go outside. So I go outside. I said, sir, this is the first thing I said. Politely, sir, it's on us this time. I said, but you have to pay for that ice. Well, and it just went in, just ripped into me. And like I told her, and I heard a philosopher say it. It was so crazy. I was listening to a philosopher, and he said, no matter how you say something to a person, nice, you can say it soft with a mouthful of butter. You can say it sprinkled with honey. You can say it loud. If a person does not want to change, they don't care how you say it. It's because of the fact you told them they was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and people can only heal as much as or as deep as they are willing to sit with the truth.
Yes.
How hard is it?
Yes. Yes.
So, like, if you're not willing to really sit in the hard truth about yourself, your capabilities, your strengths, your weaknesses, your whatever, like what you've gone through in life, you can only heal to a certain point. And I think, I agree with you that more children, more people need to hear the word no. But I mean, listen, I I really wanted to play basketball when I was a kid.
Mhm.
I'm 5'1". Okay. I'm 5'1".
Tiny.
And I'm a small person.
Yes, you are. You're tiny.
And yeah, but a lot of passion in this. Anyway, I really wanted to play basketball, but I wasn't really good at it. But one of the reasons why I wasn't good at it is because I was really aggressive.
Mm.
I was, and not in like a bad way. Sometimes the word aggressive gets a bad rap, but in a
Yeah.
way of
Yep.
like that passion came out. And I just remember my dad was like, I don't think this is the best sport for you. And so I played softball and I played third base, and I was really good and I enjoyed it, and I played with a really great team and had a blast for, a decade. But I say that to say I wasn't great at everything. And my parents were okay with, letting us sit in hard things and figure things out. Because here's the thing, if you don't do that, whether, in education or even as a parent, then what happens is then you get to be adults and their stress tolerance is very low. And they also don't know, and they also don't know how to figure things out.
Exactly.
I say to my children all the time, my two oldest children, when they'll come to me. Recent example, our oldest son came to us and he was like, I'm really interested in, I think I want to buy a new car. And which in my head, I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, why would you want a car payment when you don't have one and you're in college? Anyway, but we had him do the research, and it blows my mind that these generations that grew up with phones, like they don't know the work it took to get an Encyclopedia Britannica and do a book report. And you better hope that your family had all of them, because most of us didn't. But you also better hope that it was the newest edition, because the facts may not be right.
Yes.
But like they have so much information at their fingertips, which, I mean, I could probably do a whole TED talk on that in itself, but they don't know how to use it, and they don't know how to use it appropriately or like, but it blows my mind that, like, I'm like, you literally could have just Googled that. I mean, like, but it's because they don't know how to problem solve, and they don't know how to problem solve because we don't teach them how to problem solve in school. And because a lot of times as parents, we are trying to make it so easy for them. And then they become these young people who can't think for themselves. They can't problem solve. They don't know how to work well with others. Their stress tolerance is non-existent. They don't know how to ask for help. They don't know how to get help. I mean, they don't know what to do. And it's because we have almost like beat it out of them. Like, no, this is the only way to do this math problem, and this is the only way to act at school. And if you don't act this way, you're horrible. And if you, it's big people problems. We've done this, and so now we've just got to own it and fix it.
Well, we were taught to live through fault. We were taught to make it through fault, because at the other end there was something there. Like my son, he was in high school before they left here and moved back to Iowa. Test at school. I'm like, where? He goes, Dad, I need a calculator for school. I'm like, for what? For math class. I'm like, wait a minute, you need a calculator for math class? Yeah, we got a test coming up. I'm like, wait a minute, wait. And they hate, and do you want to make your kids mad? Say, like, when I went to school or when I was young, they hate that, we're Methuselah. But I was telling my son, I was like, son, only calculator we had was our brain. Look at how things, we have literally dummied down or like I said, we have got to have another podcast together, because like there's another whole conversation about that. Seriously, like, you're a kid, you can sit back and remember 50 numbers in your brain without anything, without writing it down. You go to school, you did a math test. We had the one where you flip the paper over You had like a minute to solve as many problems as possible. You know, we had that. It's like just like the little things
Well,
that.
it's like maps, right? Like I
Oh
will
my God.
sometimes like I will purpose I will not use my GPS on purpose. I actually did this today. I did not use my GPS because we become so dependent on it. We don't know how to get places.
Yep.
And Chad and I talk about this all the time. We have to remember that good or bad or indifferent, there's a reason why we are who we are. So
Yes.
when we talk about like these generations that, man, they had work ethic, they were honorable, they had integrity, they were this, they were that. That didn't happen by mistake. Now, you can take some things from parenting and be like, you know what, I'm not going to do that. All right. Because not all parenting has been great. But what we're forgetting is those core things that matter so much, that are the very reasons why we are who we are. I am not who I am for any other reason other than my parents, God, and every failure I faced and learned to get up and walk, even
Wow.
if it was baby steps. That
Wow.
is why I am who I am. It's why I'm the mother I am. It's why I'm the wife I am. It's why I have had the career that I've had. I mean, I got into the FBI, which is one of the hardest things to do. Okay. I mean, there's law enforcement people who can't do that. And it took grit and integrity and all of those things you don't just wake up and have. You learn them in childhood. You learn them from failing.
You put the
Also,
work,
you
but you
know.
also, when you failed, you got back up and you put the work
Mm-hmm.
in.
Yeah, yeah. Because I had people around me who supported me and loved me, and I was able to fine tune those skills in safe places, so that as I became an adult, I had the skills that I needed to navigate hard things, because life is hard. That's our guarantee. Our contract with life is that there are going to be hard moments, hard things, hard decisions. That is your hard emotions. That is 100% going to happen. That's the contract. If we don't train up our children to be able to navigate that, then we are doing them a disservice. But we are also setting ourselves up that we can't be surprised when people are out here acting how they're acting.
That is awesome. And so with that being said, I'm gonna leave it on that note. I'm gonna give you an applause here in the chair. It was so awesome having you on. Like I said, you guys are mentioning on now. Like I said, today, like I said, the enemy was working. I couldn't find a charger for the camera. I dropped Miss Freshwater-Merritt once or twice. Stuff was going on, but the message was so important. As I tell people all the time, you tune in to me, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. And today's message was so important. I'll give you another round of applause. You were so awesome. I will tell you, people, she will be back on. This has been
Oh,
amazing.
yay.
Yes, we are
Yes.
going to. Oh no, I'm gonna have a series with you. This is only chat one, so we're gonna go back at it. If you don't mind, like they say, tell
We'll call it
Chad.
like Tuesdays with Audrey
Yeah,
or something.
tell Chad no disrespect, but like they said when you're married, if you'll have me on the pod, if you'll do the podcast with me, will you have me? Because I would love to have you on here continuously. Like I said, let's schedule something for when the next week or so. I would love to have you on.
Yeah.
And like I said, we could talk about the technology thing, because that is such a deep thing. Oh my God, we live in a microwave era now, and I am so
Mhm.
deep into that. So with that being said,
Listen, I threaten to throw things in the pool, or to like, I'm going to
are
just
you
turn the
serious?
internet off, man.
Are you
I'm like,
serious?
I'm going to just turn the internet off. No more internet. No more.
Oh my
Chad's like, all
God.
right. Chad's like, all right, do it. And I'm like, I will. Watch me. No more internet.
You guys are such an amazing couple. I just love seeing you guys. You guys are so awesome. Well, like I said, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining my podcast today. I'm going to let you go. I would like for you to say a goodbye to my fans here who watched you. And just if you can, say a goodbye to them here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Thanks for listening. I welcome any questions, especially like if we're going to do this again. I'd love to talk about some things that people want to talk about. So thanks for having me. Thanks for listening. And I hope everyone has a great week and be blessed.
Yes, well, I do have what I call the brew line. So there were people up here going at it, but since me and you we are championship level talkers. Next time we talk, I'm taking my title back because you kind of beat me this time. That's not gonna happen again. Okay, we don't do that.
Game on.
Yeah,
I'm
on
competitive. Game on.
On the last sip, I get the last drop. Okay, that's it's like Maxwell House is good to last drop. That's me. So I want to thank you again for joining me, and you have a great evening. Well, you guys, I want to thank y'all for tuning in tonight. I had fun. I hope you learned some things. I hope you got something from it. I do want to apologize again for everybody that watched me on Facebook and on YouTube. We had some mishaps, but we worked through it. You know how I am. I leave everything in. I don't cut nothing. So if you got to see this fabulous body moving around, picking stuff up and everything, I apologize. I ain't feeling my best. It's been a heck of a day, but I love you guys. I want to thank all of y'all for tuning in today. Thank you once again to my guest. I love her last name, Freshwater-Merritt. That is like, it sounds like a fish or something. So that is, I want to thank her for coming on to the show. You guys, this has been awesome. Thank you for the support. Also, coming soon, I'm in the process of putting the book on to Amazon. Yes, you heard your boy right. The Man in the Broken Glass is in the works right now. I feel kind of special about it. If you see this podcast, go ahead and share it with people. Let people know what I'm out here doing. I do this for you. It's not just for me. I do it for my fans. I do it for people. I love people in general. And I just want to thank all of y'all for everything you've done. I want to thank all of y'all for tuning in, for all y'all for showing love, all of y'all for loving the podcast, all of y'all for just being here when I need you here. Because without you, I'm nothing. Even if I don't have a lot of followers, even if I have a lot of people that follow me, like I said, I came through today being sick. I still made it here. I love you guys. I want to say thank you and peace.
Taking everything I need, I'm coming like a vote.